When people talk about Retatrutide, they generally focus on the weight loss data. And yes, I will admit, it is very impressive. But people who use it will tell you that weight loss might not be the most significant change you notice. The changes to how your brain works, how you relate to food, and how you feel day to day. These are the things that genuinely surprise people. And most of them are never discussed in mainstream coverage. Now, I've been transparent on my channel about my own use of Retatrutide, the pros and the cons. I've shared a lot of the benefits I experienced, but today I want to go beyond my personal experience and cover 16 specific benefits that are either supported by the research, consistently reported by users, or both. And these have nothing to do with the number on the scale. Now, I've talked a lot about Retatrutide on my channel, my experience with it, my protocol, why I eventually switched to tirzepatide, because weight loss wasn't my primary goal. So I'll link my playlist up above if you're curious about any of that. But if Retatrutide is on your radar and you want to know more about the benefits beyond weight loss, keep watching, because that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So let's start by talking about the benefits to your brain and behavior. The first, and I've spoken about this personally, this is probably the most amazing benefit for me, something I never thought I would experience, and it's reduced food noise. Food noise is the constant background mental chatter about food. When you eat next, what you want, what's in the fridge, what you'll have later. For some people, this is mild. It's not really a concern. But for others, it's genuinely consuming. And honestly, I fall into that camp. It takes up mental bandwidth throughout the day in a way that's exhausting and that most people assume is just how they're wired. And here's why Retatrutide quiets this. GLP-1 receptors are present in the hypothalamus and other brain regions involved in appetite regulation and reward. When these receptors are activated, the signal-to-noise ratio around food changes significantly. The thoughts come, but they don't have the same pull. Now, from my own personal experience, I still get hungry, but it's not in the same all-consuming way. And I'm not reaching for food out of boredom or procrastination, only when I'm genuinely hungry. And I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So this benefit is meaningful. The second benefit is better focus and mental clarity. And this is another one that I've experienced personally. This is a downstream effect of reduced food noise. When less cognitive bandwidth is consumed by thinking about food, more is available for everything else. But there's also a more direct mechanism. GLP-1 receptors are expressed throughout the brain, including regions involved in executive function and attention. There's emerging research suggesting GLP-1s have direct cognitive benefits, independent of weight loss, and the consistent reports from users of improved focus and mental clarity are hard to dismiss as placebo when the mechanism supports them. Number 3 is improved discipline across all areas. This one surprised me a lot, but it does make sense. My training consistency on Retatrutide was the best it's ever been. The friction between knowing what I should be doing and actually doing it was barely there. I was way less likely to sleep in, to skip a workout, to slack off. And this is honestly amazing because, again, I know discipline is something that a lot of people struggle with, and that might not be your fault. The likely mechanism involves the same dopamine pathways that affect food noise. When reward-seeking behavior is modulated, the inconsistency between intention and action that most people experience seems to reduce. And this isn't unique to me. A lot of people have reported experiencing this. Number 4 is no appeal for junk food. Separate from reduced hunger, there's less of a pull for junk food, for greasy food, for sweet food. A chocolate bar that would have been hard to resist before becomes genuinely uninteresting. Not off limits, I can still enjoy dessert. But it's not all-consuming. I can have a couple squares of chocolate and be done. I don't have to eat the whole bar. I don't have to eat the whole slice of cake. This appears to be related to the dopamine reward system specifically. Highly processed food is engineered to produce a strong dopamine response. But when you're not getting the same high from this processed food, it's not as appealing. So it's a lot easier to eat healthy when you're on Retatrutide. Number 5 is reduced anxiety and worry. And specifically in women, interestingly enough. GLP-1 receptors are present in a brain region most associated with fear and anxiety processing. There's emerging studies showing GLP-1s reduce anxiety through direct action on these receptors, rather than as a secondary effect of weight loss or improved health. Number 5 is reduced addictive behavior broadly. The dopamine pathway that reduces food noise and the appeal of junk food appears to extend to other reward-seeking and addictive behaviors. There's research underway on GLP-1s for alcohol use disorder, and the consistent anecdotal reports of reduced desire for alcohol, social media, gambling, and other compulsive behaviors from people using these medications is being taken seriously in the research community. People report alcohol being less interesting. They don't want to gamble as much. All these addictive behaviors, they're just easier to say no to. And that is huge. Number 7 is improved mood. There's emerging research on GLP-1 agonists having antidepressant-like effects, and several studies are currently investigating their use for depression and mood disorders. Now, this mechanism isn't completely understood. Some people do go the opposite way and they struggle with their mood and depression when they're on Retatrutide, but that isn't one of the most common side effects. Most people report feeling better about their mood. Their mood is more balanced. Now let's get into the physical performance and recovery benefits. The first, faster exercise recovery. GLP-1 has direct anti-inflammatory effects on our muscles. When inflammation from exercise is reduced more efficiently, recovery between sessions improves. This is consistent with improved training consistency by most users. Not just discipline, but the physical ability to recover faster. There's also a metabolic efficiency component. Elevated ketones from the glucagon component of Retatrutide provide an additional fuel source that muscles can use for recovery. And that improved insulin sensitivity mean nutrients are partitioned more effectively towards repair and recovery, rather than storage. And this is a benefit that I definitely experienced. And then we have the metabolic and hormonal benefits. Number 9, which we've touched on a bit, is improved insulin sensitivity. This is the most clinically well-established benefit beyond weight loss. GLP-1s directly improve insulin sensitivity through multiple mechanisms, improving beta cell function, and slowing gastric emptying to reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. And this is why they are so effective for people with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and insulin resistance. And if you weren't aware, it's estimated that 80% of people in the US are insulin resistant, although a lot of cases go undiagnosed. And this is part of the reason why GLP-1 medications have been so life-changing for so many people. It's not just about eating less. It's about improving insulin sensitivity. Benefit number 10 is elevated ketones, even while eating more carbs. The glucagon receptor component of Retatrutide is what distinguishes it from semaglutide and tirzepatide. Glucagon helps drive fat oxidation and ketone production. The result is elevated ketones, even when carbohydrate intake is moderate, something that normally requires a pretty strict low-carb diet to achieve. Now, I've monitored this directly using a continuous ketone monitor before, and I can tell you my ketones were through the roof, even when eating higher carbs, which is pretty incredible because ketones do come with a lot of benefits. And if you don't have to stick to a strict low-carb diet in order to increase them, this is a good thing. Number 11 is reduced visceral fat specifically. Now, I talk a lot about visceral fat on my channel. It is highly associated with insulin resistance. It originally is caused by insulin resistance, but then visceral fat actually causes you to become more insulin resistant. It's a pretty bad cycle once you get stuck in it. And there are specific peptides, I'm thinking of tesamorelin, which do target visceral fat specifically. But even Retatrutide has been shown to reduce visceral fat in a way that you wouldn't get from a calorie deficit alone. Number 12 is lower triglycerides. Improved insulin sensitivity directly reduces liver triglyceride production. As insulin comes down, the liver's conversion of excess glucose to triglycerides decreases. Clinical trial data on Retatrutide consistently shows significant triglyceride reduction alongside weight loss. And this is a marker that often improves faster than weight loss itself. Number 13 is reduced inflammation. GLP-1 receptors are present on immune cells, and they have a direct anti-inflammatory effect independent of weight loss. Reduced visceral fat also reduces inflammation, so that plays a role here as well. The combination produces a meaningful reduction in systemic inflammatory markers that has implications for everything from cardiovascular health to joint pain to skin health. And then we have improved liver health markers. GLP-1 receptors are expressed in the liver. Retatrutide reduces liver fat accumulation, improves liver enzyme markers, and there's meaningful research for its use for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So if you know you have fatty liver, if you have elevated liver enzymes, then Retatrutide might help. Number 15 is improved cardiovascular markers, including blood pressure. Beyond triglycerides, retatrutide and other GLP-1s consistently show improvements in blood pressure, HDL cholesterol, and other cardiovascular risk markers in clinical trials. And finally, number 16 is for women, and it's a regular menstrual cycle. Now, I covered this in a recent video where I was talking about PMOS specifically, used to be called PCOS, but PMOS is caused by insulin resistance. And because retatrutide can help to improve insulin resistance, improve insulin sensitivity, it also helps with PMOS symptoms. One of the main ones being an irregular cycle. And spoiler alert, PMOS can be reversed. I'll link to my video where I spoke more about that on the screen now. So those are 16 benefits of retatrutide that go beyond weight loss. Some in the brain and behavior category, some in the physical performance and recovery category, and some in the metabolic and hormonal category. So while the weight loss data is getting most of the headlines, there's a lot more to unpack here. Now, if you're new to peptides and you're a little bit confused about what retatrutide is, how to get it, I'll link to my full peptide explainer video on the screen now. That goes over all of the basics. And if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments down below. I also want to hear from you if you're currently on retatrutide. What benefits have you experienced either from this list or ones that I forgot? Let me know down below.